Ah, yes. Greenland. That's what's leading us today. Everyone's lost their mind. And everyone knows what's happening. The play has already been drawn out. All they're doing now is executing. And people are acting like it's the first time they've ever seen any of it. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Let's begin the radio show. Would you be surprised to learn that the Canadians...
Canada strongly opposes tariffs.
...have strong objection to a deal for Greenland.
Strongly opposes tariffs over Greenland and calls for focused talks to achieve our shared objectives of security and prosperity in the Arctic.
Oh, so you don't object to the United States controlling Greenland. You object to the idea that Trump has said, well, if these European nations don't come around, I'll start charging them a 10% tariff. And then if they still don't come around, I'll charge them a 25% tariff. Yeah. That's welcome to what everybody knew was coming. I have an impossible time believing that no one understands what's going on here. Guys, we're smart. We're not that smart. All we are is more honest. And by being more honest, we know exactly what is happening here. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. Good to be here. And as a guy who sits right now just outside of Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the national champion IU Hoosiers. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be impossible. And I'm not a giant fan. I'm just thrilled for Indiana, but it's annoying so many people that I say that. I'm gonna say that for about the next month. So hold on. Did we just lose the Miami affiliate? They're gone. They're out. They're gone. Okay, bye. It was nice. It was nice knowing you. See you later. We're still on in Orlando, right? Good. Yes. Weekend's fantastic. Yeah. We're on in Orlando. WDBO. Yeah. No, I love great station. Love those people. Let's get back to Greenland. Here's the play. A deal will be made. Do you know how I know this? I know this because the first rule of Trumpism is that Trump wins. And the second rule of Trumpism is that a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to the first rule of Trumpism. Ladies and gentlemen, everything with Greenland is going to end in a deal that gives us some level of control. This is what's happening because it's in Europe's best interest. Ooh, no one's talking about that. Let's start where we start from the beginning. Greenland is a very large hunk of land. It's a giant. And since the United States has been in existence, there has been an attempt to own Greenland. Greenland has certainly minerals, and that provides a value. But what Greenland really offers is opportunity. Now, a couple of things to note here. As a matter of geography, Greenland is closer to the United States than it is to Denmark. I'm staring at a map right here. I'm looking at Denmark's here, and then Iceland, and then Greenland, which is weird because Greenland is icy and Iceland very green. And then here's the United States. We just think of it as so far away because we think of everything north as not things we look at. Because of our own biases and how we view maps and how we view globes, everything is east-west. We rarely think of things north-south. There's Canada, and then there's South America. It's almost like this amorphic blob to us. You got to look at a map. We've been saying this. We always talk about this. You got to actually see what's going on. Greenland has long had geopolitical implications. It is strategic because if you're looking at the globe, you realize how close you are and how capable it is to keep an eye on Russia. Russia is our geopolitical foe. Now, Russia is not necessarily the geopolitical foe that China is, but since Russia is falling further and further down the slide of economic insanity, of failing in Ukraine, and certainly incapable of keeping the Chinese at bay on its eastern front, every day they get closer and closer to becoming a vassal state of China, which is to say, Russia still exists, but it only exists because China allows it to exist. It is, in effect, controlled by China. Its foreign policy controlled by China. Its oil production and supply controlled by China. Its saber-rattling and abuse of other nations controlled by China. This is the growing reality of Russia. And while Russia may still have an upper hand vis-a-vis Ukraine, Russia has no upper hand vis-a-vis itself. Russia is still a threat to European nations because, of course, Vladimir Putin does have expansionist desires, which have already been proven, only reminding everybody how wrong Tucker Carlson really is on the subject. Keeping an eye on Russia is a good idea. Keeping an eye on their nuclear arsenal, specifically submarines, is a good idea. It was Mitt Romney who discussed in the debate with Barack Obama 2012 that Russia was our biggest geopolitical foe. And it was Barack Obama who, with all of the ego and elitism and snobbery one like Barack Obama could muster, stated the 1950s called, and they want their foreign policy back. He's so witty. How wrong he was. Greenland offers the opportunity for quick launch, for being able to counter any attacks or assaults, and in the maybe the most overarching, allows for over-the-horizon capability. Over-the-horizon refers to how we keep an eye on our enemies. Now, you could say to me, well, Tony, we've got satellites for that. Sure. And they've got satellites for that. But ain't nothing like being able to just look out over a hilltop and go, I see you. I see you. Hello. Nothing. There's nothing like being able to launch a counteroffensive where you've got, 3,000 miles of a head start than what you would have without Greenland. The Russians are more and more of a threat because they are more and more unstable. Putin is unstable, and you have the Chinese influence. There is not a rational mind that thinks that Greenland shouldn't be protected by the United States. I want to say it again, there is not a rational mind that does not think that Greenland should not be protected by the United States. Well, then why are these European nations causing such a scene? Well, they can't be seen as just acquiescing to the United States. All politics are local. I swear, guys, there are times where I think nobody is listening. All politics are local. And if you allow the United States to move in ways that are unfettered, well, then how do you have any strength at all? How do you look at your people, your electorate, your constituents? Remember, there are many people in France and many people in the UK who aren't Islamists who hate the United States. We call them schmucks. They'd be dead if it wasn't for the U.S. And let's bring that into play for a moment. Why is President Trump acting the way he does, acting the way he is? Why is he pushing so hard on this? Well, Trump is a guy who believes in the maximum leverage. He works from a position of destabilization. I'm going to burn this building to the ground. Wait. We could talk. Okay, I just want a rent reduction. Like it's that. It started the most insane thing you can. And then these people say, whoa. And then you're like, okay, I'll do this. And this is so much better than the first thing in comparison that's where the deal gets made. Deal made. The first rule of Trumpism is what? Trump wins. The second rule of Trumpism, a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to the first rule of Trumpism. Every single bit of saber rattling, the tariffs on this, the tariffs on that, we're going to use the military. This has to be, all of that is to get to the deal. The deal has to be made. And the Europeans know this, and the deal is in their favor. The deal benefits them because it puts Russia on further notice that they are being watched and they are being kept in check, and they will not be able to advance in the Arctic or anywhere else with impunity. If I'm the Danes, thank goodness. But you didn't just say, hey, make a deal. You called us names. You insulted us. We've got an electorate too. Who do you think you are? What made you think, President Trump, that you could talk to us like that? Are you out of your mind? There is, I don't know what's happened in the European, I think it was in the EU Parliament. There was a Danish member, and he's like, here, let me tell you what I think.
Let me put this in words you might understand. Mr. President, off.
He said it. And he got admonished on the floor. Of course he said it. Of course. What, you think Trump's the only guy who knows how to talk like this? This guy's got voters. Can we all act like we're adults now? How dare he say that to the President of the United States? He doesn't know. All politics are local. I don't care how MAGA you are. Sit down. It's the most normal thing in the world. Because everybody knows what's going to happen next. Greenland cannot fall into the hands of China or its vassal state, Russia. Greenland cannot be allowed to be in the hands of China and Russia. In conversations that happen outside of the public square where the voter is not consulted, every single European leader would agree that Greenland cannot be in the hands of China and Russia. Simply can't happen. It's simply an untenable situation. So President Trump has decided to make this job number one, because for the United States, Greenland cannot end up in the hands of China or Russia. It is too dangerous. So by chance or perchance, there were some European nation that wasn't fully aware of their own safety, security, and sovereignty. The United States has made them realize that if it's not us, it's them. And if it's them, you're screwed. You're dead. You will have no capacity to stop these people. You will be quite literally surrounded. You're a fool. And certainly these are Europeans, and there are European fools. Trump is not a fool. So Trump does what Trump does. Trump engages this destabilization, this maximum leverage push, this getting loud, this saber rattling, sending out Scott Bessent. They can't stop us economically. They can't stop us militarily. We'll take what we want. Did we actually take anything? Oh, we'll say it. Oh, we'll talk about tariffs. Have we actually levied any tariffs yet? Then President Trump puts out a series of texts that he got from Emmanuel Macron and Mark Rutte saying that they want to have dinner. Mark Rutte is the Secretary General of the UN. Macron wants to have dinner. Trump releasing texts is one heck of a thing. But his point is, see, now we're having a conversation. A conversation that everybody knew was going to happen. A deal's going to get made because that's how Trump works. And there's going to be an area of Greenland that's going to remain as a protectorate of Denmark. It's going to be part of the Danish kingdom. And then there's going to be a very large landmass that is protected by the United States. Is it annexed? Is it a province? Is it like the way we think of Puerto Rico? I don't know what that official language is going to look like. But this is done. The Europeans are feigning anger. This is all a story for the sake of saying to their people, we forced the Americans to create the right deal. We know how to deal with Trump. Because all politics are local. Now, you could tell me I'm wrong. You could tell me they're really angry and they really don't want the United States to control Greenland. Maybe I would consider that a very, very remote possibility. In the single digits of percentages of possibility. This is written on the wind. The deal will be made. And there will be parts of Greenland that will be under our protection, which is better for the world. And yet there are some in the world too stupid to know it. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Lots of comments right there. Here's one. Trump is crazy and needs to be removed. Counter argument, you're wrong. Then there is this comment, no deal, blank America. No. And then there is this, Greenland already told Trump to blank off. You're right. Someone tried to make a deal, and then the person said blank off, and no one's ever gone back and said, well, what about this? Oh, you're right. You know, sometimes some people don't quite understand what a negotiation is because they've never actually done anything or created anything or made a deal for anything. What a silly, silly thing to say, and how little you know of the world. You are absolutely wrong, except I'm absolutely right. Is he paid propagandist? I don't know, but your mom is. Guys, I'm running through these. I'm getting through them as fast as I can. Anything to avoid the Epstein files. Nicely done bringing up the Epstein files. Good on you. Show the same passion for the release of the files. Who wants to tell him? Who wants to tell Al Dunn about my position on the Epstein files? You want to tell him, Producer Landon? Go ahead. You tell him, producer. I don't think they can hear you, but you tell them. It's release the files, release all of the files, release the files yesterday. Pam Bondi screwed up when she didn't release the files. Trump actually screwed up when he said the files don't matter. Kitten, I'm on the record. You should know who you're talking to. Thank you. Help me out here. Is my mom in the Epstein files? No, she is not. But I heard that your mom likes to do it on top of them. I'm here all day. All right, I think we got through them. I think we got through all the insane commentary. Over there in Davos, they are tripping over themselves to want to be able to go after President Trump, who will be there tomorrow. So Trump was there to watch the Indiana University Hoosiers defeat the Miami Hurricanes and win a national championship and go 16-0. Oh, we'll be talking about that in a bit. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. And then he's off to Davos. To Davos right there. And he's going to talk to these people who have a very serious inability to deal with the world.
Great point. Yeah, clap if you want to. Go ahead. And I know we're running short of time, but I have to follow up on this because you just mentioned the authoritarianism in the United States and the cruel regime in Iran. Well, what do you make of Donald Trump threatening strike? He doesn't like Iran, right? So that's one authoritarian figure taking on another regime. And then with...
So here at Davos, the pseudo-intellectuals refer to Trump as a, what do you call him, a despot?
Donald Trump threatening strike. He doesn't like Iran, right? So that's one authoritarian figure taking on another regime. And then with...
Trump is the authoritarian. Got it. I believe that when Trump is engaged in not being nice to these people, it's fine. I think when Trump engages the idea of trying to be a tough guy, I think it fails. This guy is trying to be a tough guy, and that's how I know it fails. I think it always fails. There's a difference between knowing how Trump is going to handle something versus whether or not Trump is handling something well. But we put a lot of it on Trump. Let's take a look at all these people who consider themselves our leaders.
What happened in Venezuela? Does that muddle things up when one authoritarian...
Well, of course. I mean, if, everything is muddy, everything is gray. I can fully understand why many of my friends and colleagues from Venezuela have a lot of reluctance to denounce what was an act of aggression against Venezuela. And maybe
taking out Maduro is now an act of aggression against Venezuela. Not all the people you see cheering for Venezuela. No. This is exactly the backwards of our society. This is quite literally what we're up against. And the reason I share some of it with you, and I will over the next few days, is that we have the world over allowed people to be in places of power and prestige where they are showing every hour, every minute of every hour of every day that they don't like the fact that you have a say, and they don't like the fact that you have a voice, and they don't like the fact that America has a voice, and they don't like America's strength, and they don't like America's success, and they don't like Western civilization. And they are still, after all this time and all its failure, pushing the concepts of one world order, one world government. Anybody who thinks that Venezuela is not better off with Maduro out likes the idea of communists in control. This is Tony Katz today. And it's true. And it's absolutely true. Hold on. What's civilized about the Western world? Okay. That is a joyfully unserious comment. My goodness. The people at Davos are pushing the one world order. The people at Davos believe in one world government. What was his name? Klaus Schwab? That was his desire. This is known. Now, let's not pretend that this isn't something that they wanted, that they want, that every push is towards. What do you think the desire is to end capitalism? The conversations of in the future you'll own nothing and you'll be happier. All of this is about a global society. Every last bit of it. If you want to pretend that's not happening, I mean, you could be ignorant. I can't stop people from being fools. They can be as foolish as they want. But of course, this is happening. and you take a look at sorry, funny email just came across. We could see this in a whole host of places, in a whole host of ways, and I'm happy to share that and get into that. Producer Landon, well done. Well done right there. So I could just play it from here. I wonder if, do I have to share the screen though? Let me see what I can do here. Hold on. Greetings from the UK. Hey, what's going on? Can I say something that's very strange and maybe someone can explain it? When we see downloads and movement, we do well in the UK. I love that. Greetings from the UK. Trump is Putin's, I don't know if I can say that, dream. You know what a compromat is? Compromat. Sorry, if I could only speak. Breaking up NATO and weakening the USA. I have no interest in doing either one of those things, but explain your position. How is Trump better for Putin? Walk me through your math there. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, there's that. And then there's this. And then there's this. All right. Oh, that didn't download. Hold on. Oh, I didn't. Nice. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, we also have a White House briefing today. So that should be good.
Mendoza ready to take the snap. He takes it. He looks. He throws the football. And he runs it. No, he runs it. And he ties for the end zone. Does he get it in? Touchdown! Fernando Mendoza runs the football and scores.
A play that will exist amongst the IU faithful forever. Fans of the Indiana University Hoosiers will be thinking about that play on their deathbeds. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. IU 27, the Miami Hurricanes 21. Listen, as a guy who lives in Indianapolis, you're just going to have to suffer through this. It's just the way it goes. This state is out of its mind. This is the hardest game, one could argue, that they played all year. Sure, you've got the win. They squeaked out against Penn State. You've got the Iowa victory. But Miami came to play. Even Coogan, who is the center for the Hoosiers, was like, holy blank. This defense was nuts. He said that he was very clear. This is the toughest team they've ever played. And it showed, by the way. But 16-0, and to win it on the interception.
Here's the snap back. Beck looks, throws it down the field, and it is intercepted by Indiana. Wow, what a play! And it is Jamari Sharp who comes up with a pick, and he runs into the end zone. They're going to call a penalty.
Yeah, because Sharp took off his helmet, and that's a no-no. That voice, by the way, Don Fisher, the legendary voice of IU sports. He has been calling basketball and football for producer Landon 9,000 years. Yeah, it's unbelievable. There are some of these people who become part of the fabric of society, and when that guy retires, I don't know when that will be. It might rival this story in terms of popularity, in terms of attention.
Here's the snap, and this time they're just going to go down to the ground, and that will do it. And the rags to riches story for Indiana football comes to conclusion, and they are the national champions of 2026. What a football team!
Yeah, unbelievable. And I know there will be a parade, because there's always a parade, and it's gonna be nuts, to say the least. It is a fantastic story, and yes, it is huge because of the turnaround. A program that was a losing program for its entire life. What, they only have like 3 winning seasons? No, they had more than that, because they had bowl game appearances. But the idea of winning 10 games in a season, and now they did it twice in a row. They did not lose this year. Incredible stuff. And there's a story here about Coach Curt Cignetti. And I have no expertise on Cignetti, and I have never met the man. I assume I will one day. But I listen to him in press conferences. I listen to him talk about the game. And Cignetti is a story of 2 things. Outrageous preparation in the head. He is sometimes talking about the game that happened, and then what's going to come up next, and what someone did 3 weeks ago, and what someone did 2 months ago. When you take a look at that call from the game last night, IU winning the national championship, it's 4th and 5. They'd already called the timeout on this series, and they're going to send out the field goal unit. Then all of a sudden he's like, no, timeout. Whoa. And people are like, what's going on? What's happening? And you could see Cignetti, Coach Cignetti, like, everybody's calm down. Calm down. And that's when he called the play for the design quarterback draw. And he explained the play. And he said, I saw the defense that they had dialed up. We knew that defense existed. We had developed a blocking scheme specifically for that defense. Now, at that moment, you got to stop. The level of study involves knowing every defensive scheme. Not, well, they like to they like to play zone, or they like to play man to man. No. Knowing every individual scheme, and he, watching it, knew the scheme. Well, Tony, any coach could do that. Any good coach could do that. Yeah, but do they? There's study, and then there's intensity. You know, we can talk about Tom Brady all we want, and we should, but cheater. Deflategate was real. The preparation, the sacrifice. Go back in football history. Raymond Berry, wide receiver. Raymond Berry wasn't a physical specimen. He wasn't particularly the finest receiver out there. He was a route runner of perfection. And these things involve relentlessness, staying at it and staying at it and staying at it. Cignetti's entire point of view about coaching, about how you win, play your game and break the other team's will, which involves understanding the game and certainly in all its facets, but being unbelievably disciplined. He talks about being fast and relentless. He isn't just talking about it. They aren't buzzwords. He's doing it. Any parent after the first couple years learns something. I think if they're in any way an aware parent. Kids don't so much do what you say. They do what you do. They model themselves after how you act and how you handle yourself. One of the things that, not being somebody who ever got a divorce, I never had to deal with this, but I have some friends who have been divorced, and I've heard other people talk about this, and I always thought it was so valuable as to be believed. And one of the things they state is that I never speak ill, talking about the guys here, I never speak ill of my ex-wife. I am always a gentleman to my ex-wife. And I want my kids to see that so they treat women properly. Holy cow. That is an unbelievable thought. And because that had never happened in my life, I have no experience, connection to that. My parents were married till my father passed away. My in-laws were married until my father-in-law passed away. So I have no basis for being around those kinds of things. But of course, absolutely, positively, of course, that's what you do. You want to be able to show the behavior that you're trying to get out of the people you're teaching. Being the most prepared guy in the room. That's the life lesson. When you take a look at debates between the political right and the political left, when you take a look at these debates are often just radically one-sided, where the left gets eaten alive. And you're like, why does that happen? Why are they so unbelievably foolish? Part of the issue is they've never once tried to sharpen the iron. Every day I do a show and people can call in. 833-468-8669, 833 got Tony. They can leave comments as we are live streaming on YouTube. Just go to Tony Katz and subscribe. They can send me an email, tony@tonykatz.com, a tweet at Tony Katz, a post, a comment on Facebook, as if anybody gives a good holy dang about Facebook anymore, Tony Katz Radio. And we engage in these conversations. And you have heard me engage in pushback with friends like Ed Morrissey and friends like Noah Rothman. It's a disagreement in how we go about doing something. I've done this numerous times with all sorts of people. But one of the things that we do is we go into the public square and we say, hey, push back. What's wrong with my opinion? Because we're trying to make our opinion smarter and better. We're trying to learn how to better deal with it. Was anybody more emblematic of this than the late Charlie Kirk? I will sit in a college campus and just say, here's the mic, come at me, bro. The left doesn't do this. The left stays in its very, very cloistered circles. And that's how you end up with a guy by the name of Cameron Kasky going up against Scott Jennings on CNN. Kasky is not famous for being part of the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, Parkland, and became somebody of note, if you will. And I think I had a back and forth with him on social media once, but he was still not 18. I wasn't gonna do that. Maybe he was 18 at the time, because I don't think I would have spoken to somebody who wasn't. And he has now positioned himself as some kind of genius for the left. And where they're talking about the Board of Peace and what's going on in Gaza. And Trump is leading the Board of Peace and how they're going to rebuild Gaza. And if you want on the board, it'll cost you $1 billion. $1 billion, and you're on the board and you can have a say in what goes on in Gaza. And we'll use that money to rebuild Gaza. And then there won't be wars anymore because we'll get rid of the terrorists and Hamas will be gone and the weapons will be gone and that'll be it. And we'll flood the tunnels. It'll be fine. And Kasky gets up there with Scott Jennings, who's a real professional, and wants to make this claim of, well, you know what the problem is.
You know, it sounds like it should be in the top 10 choices is a Palestinian person, which does not appear on this peace board. And that's how we know that Donald Trump's alleged ceasefire, which the state of Israel has violated countless times, by the way, is just a facade. And
you're going to let the aggressors in this war onto the peace board? I don't think so.
Who are the aggressors in this war?
Hamas, the Palestinians, Hamas that invaded Israel, that raped, murdered, kidnapped, and tortured the Israelis. That
are you
took
claiming
hostages,
right now that the state of Israel has never committed rape, torture, or murder against innocent Palestinians?
He has never once asked himself whether those who started the war should be able to have a say in what happens after the war. He only knows how to go after Israel. He's never once confronted the reality that Scott Jennings just put right in front of him so easily. Because you must go out there and push your ideas. You must go out there and hear the feedback. You must learn. You have to be prepared. You have to have thought about what the others are going to say and how you're going to deal with it. Cignetti is a guy who plays it out and lives it and does it by example. Great win for the Hoosiers. This is Tony Katz today. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I usually take a break right now, but I'll hang for a while. I will hang. Ran out of time. I have so much more on that subject. Oh, specifically Kasky. There is no way a generation looks to him and says, well, he's somebody I want to emulate. There's just no way. And if it is, well, we've got a lot of work to do. I'm sorry if the Facebook comment hurt, but guys like me have no success with Facebook. Just learned from the PCA, the Premium Cigar Association, that Facebook is doing more to limit cigar conversations on Facebook. On Tony Katz Radio, there are 25,000 people. It's been that way for 6 years. Every place else I've grown, not Facebook. Of course it's throttled. It just is. Zuckerberg may not be aware of it. He may not even like it, but people do this. Someone had clicked a button, done a thing, and now it's done. They wouldn't even know where that button is these days. Meaning no one is thinking of, okay, how do I clean that up? How would you even reach the right person to get that done? But every place else is growing left and right. Really incredible stuff. Hold on a second. Oh, what was that? This was the Grindstone Generation, how Indiana football mirrors America's hunger for something real. A guy by the name of Bruce sent this to me. I don't think that's wrong. People want to be connected to something and they want standards and they want to be held to account. And now that I believe wholeheartedly. They 10,000% want to be held to account. They want to know that there are consequences. They want to know that there's something worth being a part of. They want to be connected. Absolutely. On that, I wholeheartedly agree. So let me, what are we into next? Because I know we've got the briefing coming up, which I think is going to be a showstopper. Oh, wait, is the briefing on? No, it's tomorrow. Nope, the briefing is there. Oh, is Trump going to? Oh, Trump's joining the briefing. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's going to be a day. It's going to be a day. Trump is joining the briefing. Hold on a second. There we go. This is going to be a show. He's going to be discussing his first. He's going to be discussing his first year in office. Oh, and I think that Harry Enton has it totally wrong here. Totally wrong. I will share that coming up. All right, coming back to the show. Daryl, what's a waste of time? Daryl thinks something is a waste of time, and you think Trump is above the law. That's all talking point. You got to come with something stronger in order for us to engage a conversation, man.
Is that the party that does have a motivation problem is the Republican Party. Okay, you know, this, I think, sort of tells the story. Extremely motivated to vote this election cycle. You go back to October of 2024, just before Donald Trump was reelected. Hello, Republicans led on this measure. 67% of Republicans, or those who lean Republicans, said they were extremely motivated to vote in 2024, compared to just 62% of Democrats. Republicans felt like, hey, we're going out for ice cream, like a child going out for ice cream. You come over to this side of the screen, Republican enthusiasm down. Now they feel like they're going to the dentist. Just 50% of Republicans say they're extremely.
Harry, I got to disagree. Now, the polling says what the polling says. This is a CNN poll, January 9th through 12th. Me, I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Gearing up for the White House briefing, President Trump to join, talking about his first year in office. By the way, tickets still on sale. I can get you tickets. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Trump 1 year later. The highs, the lows, and how we win the midterms. That's happening downtown Indianapolis on January 24th. Yeah, I've got it. And I'm going to be discussing exactly this idea that enthusiasm is down.
Just 50% of Republicans say they're extremely motivated to vote in 2026, compared to 66% of Democrats. That's actually up a little bit. So Republicans are depressed in terms of their motivation compared to Democrats, and very much so compared to Republicans back during the 2024 cycle.
You're comparing a midterm to a general election, which is an outrageously unfair thing to do. Then you're discussing the party out of power, trying to get power, which is a motivating factor in and of itself. You also don't mention the fact that the margin of error on this poll is 5.4%. Now, you can say to me, Republicans need to show up to vote. And if this motivates Republicans to show up to vote, well, then I'm all in favor of this data. But the data is incomplete because all of this does not take into effect what the month of January has already looked like. And people have not come to a place where they have put together all the information. This was an economic midterm, as one could argue most of them are. That's not the case anymore. This is the argument that I'm going to make on January 24th. Tickets.tonykatz.com. This is about crime. This is about national security. And this is really about, what do you want? The America you want or the America they want for you? I'll explain more. Trump is coming up next. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. Oh, okay. I was asking this guy to when you say Trump is above the law, what are you referring to? And then he gives me love stealing Greenland. Okay, you have nothing to offer. I don't know what to tell you. The only thing that hasn't happened is a stealing of Greenland. A lot of talk, no stealing. If someone gets paid, is that stealing? That you don't like the deal, honestly, who cares if you like the deal? If they like the deal, that's that. I think, Daryl, one of the things that we should accept is that you do not know what's best for us. Trump was elected. Congress was elected. The desire to purchase or engage with Greenland goes back years. Does it go back to Johnson or Andrew Jackson as president? You can talk about this with FDR and Truman. This has gone on for years. Trump is just increasing the pressure to try and get a deal done, which clearly is at least working, that it's creating conversations. I think a deal is going to happen because I think the Europeans, as I explained earlier, you may have missed this, want the deal. And hold on, I'm getting called names now. No. Denmark, is Denmark in a recession? Well, you could argue that about the whole of Europe, for sure. And so it's an interesting point that you're trying to make here, M-Dog, that if Denmark is having a financial issue, it could help Trump's bargaining position. I believe it is different. I believe that this is about making sure that Europe as a whole feels taken care of and satiated. The French, the UK, these others, they have to feel and be able to bring back to their people that we made sure that a proper deal was made to provide the best for Greenland and the best for Denmark and the best for the people of Greenland and Denmark. And of course, we Europeans. I am convinced that's all this is. Just saving face. Because the deal's going to get done. And I argue that the Europeans actually want the deal done. They know that they don't want this to fall in the hands of the Chinese or the Russians on the behest of the Chinese. They need this deal. They want this deal desperately. Desperately. But they also have to put on a bit of a show. That's my take. And I think some of them are really, angered and upset because they, right? So with that, I expect to see something. I expect to see some level of deal. Now we've got Trump joining Karoline Leavitt for the briefing. So waiting on that. I've already said congratulations to the good people at IU and the Hoosiers for being national champions. That's always pretty groovy. One second. That is very, very funny. So I've got that, and we've got you. So I want to say hi. Some new video up on the YouTube channel. My interview with Steve Yates from Friday, that is now up. So you can catch that for yourself. I think, did it all get done right? I think it all got done properly. Let me see. Let me double check. Oh gosh, I am delayed. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so there we've got 6 new pieces. Definitely some stuff to watch. It has been going terrific, and I really do appreciate everyone who has subscribed there and over at TonyKatz.com. I had an article up about what happened with Don Lemon And I have a great conversation coming with William Jacobson, Cornell law professor, legalinsurrection.com. Did he violate the law? I say yes, because he's claiming he was just a journalist, and that doesn't fly. And William Jacobson makes a spectacular point regarding January 6th. There were people who were there on January 6th who claim they were just recording. They were acting as independent journalists. They still got charged. It still cost them their life savings. Don Lemon does not have an argument here. And there's video of him saying he knew what these people were doing, and he was part of making sure this all happened. He was there to be a part of it. Oh, yeah. Oh, 10,000%. So we've got a briefing coming up. I look forward to that. Usually we take the break right here. We didn't take the break right here. Okay, there's the press room. Let me see if I can bring this to you. Right here. Boom. There is the press room. So who's in red? Is that Aisha Hasni? She covered. Oh, she may also do some covering of the White House. Aisha Hasni used to be not used to be. She built her career right here in Indianapolis. It's fun to see. Fun to see. Now, is she hosting a show on weekends? Yeah, I'm thrilled for her. Like, if this is what you want and you're able to go get it, my gosh, go get it. That's fantastic, terrific, joyous. Go do the things. When I think of shows like the straight news-based shows, interview, I'm like, nah, not that. I mean, I have a hard time saying no to the money. And I just question, do you have to use the same template as everybody else? Talk show. So she did. Yeah, she does. I didn't know she was part of the Big Show. She had her own show. I couldn't remember which one that was, but thrilled for her. Just so cool. Good on her. Late night. Still late night. Still the more casual presentation, but in-depth debate and philosophy. That's always where I'm at. Always. That's the stuff. That's the good stuff. Right there. So this is coming back. Trump has a tendency to be late. I think that's it. All right. Make people wait. But I've always felt that they're very aware of the radio clock. And the radio clock is 6 minutes after. That's when shows come back. And so I'm surprised that they haven't gotten the word here that they're about to come on. Notice the TV screens are missing. This is going to be all Trump all the time. This could be interesting. What's up with the eyebrows lately? What my eyebrows? These eyebrows? I don't know. What's up with my eyebrows? They're big. I have some good size. Are they not? You tell me. Solid, legitimate point right there. No, Biden didn't do these things. You know, I'm doing this event on Saturday. Trump 1 year later, a red tie gala. The highs, the lows, how we win the midterms, going over the last year and how it's going to play out. And I think so much has happened in the month of January that's changed the midterms. And I've got bourbon tastings and food, a band. It's tremendous. Going to be tremendous. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. So this is what we're going to hear from Trump. We're going to hear Trump engage what happened this past year and how great it's been, which is part of what he should be doing. especially if we're going to believe the data that says Republican voter turnout right now seems depressed. Let's get to it. White House briefing with President Trump. Oh, it's going to be a show. Tony Katz today. These are the fun days. Oh, I'll comment on it like I comment on Karoline, Leavitt, like I comment on everything. Live streaming, youtube.com/Tony Katz. And be sure to subscribe over there on YouTube at Tony Katz and TonyKatz.com. We were sharing a piece from Harry Enton, who does the numbers over at CNN. I think he's very good at his job, by the way. Him and Kornacki over at NBC. Say anything you want about those organizations. I think those guys do a very good job. There is solid information coming out, and we can discuss whether we agree or disagree with it. I don't think they're engaged in the bias. I think they're engaged in the sharing, and they do dig a little deeper. I like them both. But it was data that shows that in the midterms, only 50% of Republicans are excited about the election, coming out to vote, as opposed to 64% in the 2024 election. And I said, well, first things first. You've got the difference between a presidential election and a midterm, and so that's not a proper engagement, right? A proper comparison. Then you have the party out of power, which is looking to gain power, which by nature creates more excitement. But I would argue that if you took this data, which is a poll from January 9th to January 12th, and you said of this data, this is what matters. January 9th to January 12th. With a margin of error of 5.4%, I would say to you, I wouldn't believe that poll anyway at 5.4%. Now, as I said, if it inspires Republicans to come out and vote, conservatives to come out and vote, hot diggity. I think that's great and fantastic. I think a poll in January doesn't mean anything. I think 5.4% is way too wide of a spread. And January 9th to the 12th. So the people who are on the 9th don't know what happened on the 10th. The 10th don't know what happened on the 11th, etc. And a lot of news has come out. My theory is that January changed the midterm. And I'm going to be discussing this on Saturday. You know, I'm doing the event Trump 1 year later, and you can still get tickets. I think there was a problem over the weekend where maybe some things weren't working. Everything is working. We're going to close in a couple days because I got to have a final head count. I'd let people walk up, but tickets.TonyKatz.com. I will make room for people in this one. Like, that's how important I think this is. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. We've got the bourbon tasting, the food, the band, everything. And I'm going through this. I'm doing this, what Trump is doing today. What happened in the last year? Now, Trump's going to talk about the highlights. I'm going to talk about some of the blunders and some of the issues that involve a lot of someone named Pam Bondi. But foreshadowing, you'll have to show up on Saturday to hear the rest. Everything about this election played into classic, typical economic election, economic midterm. Everything went in that direction, and it wasn't looking great. Some good GDP numbers, some keeping inflation in quasi-check numbers, but not great. And it's only going to take a couple things. It's only going to take a couple of things to change in the economy. Just one or two subjects for people to be like, you know what, we're going to be all right. And I am a believer, and I'll talk about this on Saturday, that Trump has to pick two subjects. Watch these two things. These two things change. Everything else changes. I'm a hero. You're welcome. You can already talk about gas prices. That's a winner subject. Keep that going. The last month has changed everything about this election, where it is no longer solely an economic election. Does the economy matter? Of course, it's something fools. But it's the only thing that matters? Nope. Things are different now. And we'll see what Trump gets into. We've got the White House press briefing, and President Trump is in attendance. As a matter of fact, it's his podium there with the seal of the President of the United States. He will be going over the last year because, yesterday was Inauguration Day, not only Martin Luther King Day. Trump has been in office for a year. That's why you got to join me Saturday. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. We'll take the quick break. We'll bring it back. Hopefully President Trump will be at the podium, and off to the races we'll go. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. So some staffers just handed out some packets to the press corps that is there waiting on President Trump. So this should be momentarily happening. Someone asked if this was what I was smoking was a custom smoke. First of all, I don't did Rush smoke custom cigars made for him? May have. I have been back and forth on doing a cigar of my own, and I decided in the fall of 25, yeah, I'm doing it. What I haven't found is the people to do it with yet. I haven't found the group, the blend, etc. to do this. I have a specific desire and a specific want. I am not interested. It would be a fascinating thing to think that I could turn, really create a brand that was nationwide and sell it, right? That involves a level of work and consistency that I've got radio and I've got other things, and I don't know if I have the time to do that properly. But I do have the time to do a limited release in the Midwest, and visit cigar lounges here and really talk about a story if I can find the blend that works. When people go out there and they build, they like, I put my name on a bourbon. You could do barrel picks and things like that. I have a barrel pick coming out very, very soon here in Indiana. Spectacular. That's an easier thing to do because inconsistencies and changes and oddnesses that could be attributed to the barrel. In a cigar, it has to be right every time. So it takes much more focus, dollars, time, etc. So I got to find the right group to do it with. Meanwhile, we're back to the show. Let's bring it up. Getting ready for the briefing, President Trump is going to join Karoline Leavitt as they speak to the press assembled. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. I don't know if the president's going to get into what happened with Don Lemon and the church. But if you don't know the story, over the weekend, Don Lemon, with a group of so-called protesters, walked into a church, disrupted church services, and that is a violation of the law. It doesn't matter that Keith Ellison wants to make the claim that Don Lemon did nothing wrong and there was no violation of the FACE Act or the Ku Klux Klan Act. He wants to argue that the FACE Act was only about abortion clinics. What is the FACE Act? F-A-C-E is it right there. The FACE Act makes it a federal crime to injure, intimidate, interfere with a person seeking reproductive health services or the person lawfully trying to exercise the First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of religious worship. This group set out to disrupt services, to intimidate parishioners, and to stop them from praying. These people are the Bolsheviks. And they did it. And Don Lemon knew about it because he created a video. The former CNN host created a video about how, hey, look, these people are doing something. I know what they're doing. I'm going to go with them. He knew. He was interviewing the pastor. This is just their First Amendment right. Do you not believe in the First Amendment? The pastor saying, what are you talking about? I need to protect my flock. This is about giving praise to Jesus. What are you saying? How dare you come at me like this and think that somehow I am the issue. That is not the case at all, or in any way. This is what happened.
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who
I have to take care of my flock.
But listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yeah.
Don Lemon thinks he's very respectful. Engage the crowd to disrupt services, to intimidate. There's literally people screaming at children, and then has the audacity to say, it's just the First Amendment right, and don't push me. He is a low individual. He is. He is awful and horrifying. And he now wants to tell people, I didn't do anything wrong. I was just being a journalist. Blame those people. The Ku Klux Klan Act, by the way, which goes back to 1871, passed by Congress, enforcing the 14th Amendment, which would protect civil rights, the right to vote, hold office, serve on juries, and receive equal protection under the law. And specifically, Black Americans, former slaves. So here is Black man Don Lemon possibly violating the Ku Klux Klan Act on Martin Luther King Day. That, kids, is ironic. Nicki Minaj got involved. And you're like, I'm sorry, Tony, did you just say Nicki Minaj? You bet I did. Nicki Minaj got involved, calling Don Lemon an inappropriate term that I am not allowed to use on radio. And you know what? I can't even describe to you what it is she was calling him. But how he has to be thrown in jail and the intimidation of Christians, and it can't stand. And he is now saying, well, you see, the problem is Nicki Minaj should just sit down and shut up. She's not even really black. He said it on TMZ. because she's supportive of some Trump policies? How many times have we said this, guys? How many times have we engaged this? For the leftist, if you're gay and a conservative, you're not really gay. If you're a woman and conservative, you're not really a woman. If you're black and conservative, you're not really black. How many times have we seen this? We know this to be true. This is how the left thinks. They decide whether or not you're black. In case you're a black conservative listening to the show, which, hey, welcome. Glad you're here. And for all the black liberals listening to the show, hey, welcome. Glad you're here. This is how the left acts. This is how they engage 10,000%. So what did Don Lemon do? Well, they're only upset with me. Nicki Minaj is only coming after me because she's a homophobe. And the right is coming after me because they just can't handle the fact that I'm a black gay man. We don't care. We don't care. I know it bothers you that we don't care. And it bothered you so much that you did this. You ambulance chasing freak. No man does this. Let me say it again. No man does this. Disrupts church services? You don't like what ICE is doing, and the answer is disrupting church services? Why are you letting this happen to your Somali brothers and sisters? Why are you to protect the Latinos? I'm not here to protect anybody who's here legally. I don't have to. They have to leave. I expect my nation to protect the citizen first. I rank these things. The citizen comes first. Well, they're going into people's homes and they're capturing American citizens and they're sending them to concentration camps. The left has been co-opting the Holocaust for their own political purposes for years. They use the Holocaust as their political crutch. They denigrate the Holocaust by putting it and applying it to everything. They are obscene people. No one's going to a concentration camp. Do you even know what a concentration camp is? As a matter of just sheer definition, that's not happening. But are people who are here illegally being arrested and being detained? Absolutely. Are those conditions great? Maybe not as great as you would like, but there are no showers with Zyklon B. So how about we cut it out? We stop with the nonsense and the absolute denigration of the Holocaust. They're trying to rewrite history by calling everybody we don't like a Nazi and recognize these people are in the country illegally. ICE is doing its job under the law, and it is the left that has engaged the law breaking and engaged the violence. Now we're on it. The violence. The left is violent. They support it. They engage in it. They support it. And they want more of it. Donald Trump is shot. And while members of the House and Senate acted in a very sober-minded way, they had hearings and what the heck happened with the Secret Service, and they looked at Kim Cheadle, who was then the director of the Secret Service, and said, "What's wrong with you? You can't answer basic questions." It was the most bipartisan, rational bit of questioning you've seen in maybe 3 decades. It was incredible. And well, that all went apart because the people that support them said, maybe we'll get him next time. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and they said he deserved it. And ICE agents get rammed with vehicles and get assaulted and get falsely imprisoned. And the left says they deserve it. And the churches get invaded, get swarmed, the parishioners intimidated, and nobody on the political left of the elected left says then anything other than, well, these ICE agents, I'll tell you what. The left favors the violence. We see this in the polling. They think it's okay to utilize violence to stop speech that you don't like. They're fine with it. They value it. They want more of it. And yes, I'm fully aware, as the chat room is reminding me, that there are plenty of churches that have security forces. Absolutely. I can't get the synagogues to do the same. I have made this argument for years, your synagogue, your church is a soft target. You must show up armed, buy guns, buy ammo, and get trained. And any rabbi, any priest, any pastor, any faith leader who says no, fire them or find a new faith leader, because they are not interested in the flock surviving. You must be able to protect yourself. They didn't start throwing punches and setting fire to Bibles on this one. To quote Hamilton, just you wait. Wait, does he say it again? Yes, he does. Just you wait. Yeah, I got to work on that. I got to work on my Lin-Manuel Miranda impression. Of course they will. Of course they will. And I say this because they have in every other instance engaged more and more violence. Do I want them to? No, I want this to stop. But I don't have elected politicos saying stop that. We don't do that, which is why we have to take a look at the charges here, because a message has to be sent. Do I have faith in Pam Bondi? I have no faith in Pam Bondi. I've disappointment. Incredible disappointment is Pam Bondi. Massive. It's frustrating. Really is. And you say to me, well, charges can't come right away. And you got to give these things time. We have to build the case. We've got a lot of cases, and we're not seeing much of anything. And we want to know when we start seeing something already. Don Lemon knew this was going to happen. Don Lemon was a part of making this happen. Don Lemon should get charged. Of course he should get charged. Goes without question that he should be charged. But the follow-up is, what are we going to do about this now? What's our plan? For our church, for our synagogue, for our homes, for our lives. The left has taken in Minneapolis to walking up to people they think are ICE. Prove to us you're not ICE. Say this, say that. They're demanding that people say things, give, I don't know, loyalty oaths, so they don't get attacked. That's where the left is. And I say to you that changes the midterm election. You're going to go after Christians? Now, I want to also make sure we're clear about something. Who is it that said that everything that we're seeing about the anti-Semitism and the going after Jews that's happening by the communists and the left, we understand that it's not about Jews, it's about Christians. Who said that? The correct answer is me. I said that. You did too. We all saw what was coming. Jews were step one. Christians are the focus. You got to be able to damage, hurt, do away with Christian society in order for the communists to take over, in order for the Islamists to take over. That's the goal. Everybody who's rational knows it. So what are you going to do to protect yourself and the ones you love in your place of worship, in your home? How are we going to ensure that our government protects those of us who want to engage in our First Amendment rights and worship freely, free from intimidation? You tell me. I'm Tony Katz. So I'm staring at the briefing, which has not started yet. So we'll take the quick break. When it does, I will bring it to you guys. Stay here. Welcome back. Good to be with you. Now, someone wearing a military uniform just put some documents right there on the podium. So maybe we will see the president soon. Don't forget, Tony, the World Economic Forum has talked about doing away with Christianity and creating an androgynous society of socialist communist weaklings. Well, I've said one world government or global government. And so people said, oh, they never said that. How dare you? Oh, they absolutely did say that. Now, that's a good question. Why did they pick that particular church? I don't know. Did they think they get the least pushback there? Was it just they picked one out of a hat? Don't have the answer, but it's a good question. Good question. Just going through some stuff right here. All right, now somebody's else coming out. That was the same guy. That's the same guy. All right, now he's going back in. I'm telling you, he's got to get out there. He's driving me crazy. Come on time, Mr. President. What do I pay you for? So it's all eyes on the podium where the press has been waiting for more than a half an hour. And honestly, I don't care how long the press waits, but you and I, what are we waiting for? Come on, Mr. President, what gives? You don't make us wait. We're here. Let's go to it. Tony Katz today. What is going on, everybody? So it was scheduled. Corinne Jean, no, I keep saying Corinne Jean-Pierre. Oh, that is so awful of me. Karoline Leavitt with the White House briefing. I said, great. There's probably a lot to talk about. I thought the president was already on his way to Davos, where he'll be speaking at the World Economic Forum. And then you learn that no. It's not just Karoline Leavitt. The president will be speaking. Of course, it's 1 year since he has been in office. I don't know. Did that move quickly, or has this been going on for forever? I guess it depends on the day. And that the president will be speaking. So this was scheduled for 1 o'clock. That's what it was scheduled for. Top of the hour. I should say that was scheduled for top of the hour, and well, he's still not out there. But we did see some movement. Some notes were placed, and maybe that means we will hear from the president very, very soon. There are 3 more things that we need to get to, and I'm happy to bring them to you. First things first, a mini fridge recall. 300,000 mini fridges have been added to a recall from a group called Curtis International. This is a part of a recall of Frigidaire brand mini fridges. This goes back to July of 2024, making the total 960,000 because they could just catch fire. Internal electronic components potentially short-circuiting, igniting plastic housing, causing possible burn and fire hazards. So if you have one, you need to be aware, and you need to be keeping an eye and maybe not having that happen. Then, not plugging it in. Then there is the story of Congressman Eric Swalwell. Congressman Eric Swalwell, who is a pseudo tough guy. He is a punk, and Democrats have now taken to this thing of pretending they're tough and cursing when they can and blank you and, you know, I could do this and I ain't afraid of him. Swalwell is running for governor of California, except Swalwell doesn't own a home in California. California law is very, very clear. You must live in the state. This is Article 5, Section 2 of the California Constitution. The governor shall be an elector who has been a citizen of the United States and a resident of this state for 5 years immediately preceding the governor's election. But this journalist who has put forth a petition saying that Swalwell can't run for office. He's a filmmaker, Joel Gilbert. He put in a complaint saying that Swalwell lives in D.C. He's prohibited from running. And that public record searches reveal no current ownership or leasehold interest held by Eric Swalwell in California, nor any history of ownership of a leasehold interest based on available public records. So you take a look at his congressional financial disclosures from 2011 to 2024, it lists 0 California real estate ownership. And when you take a look at the address he put for the filing, it's that of his lawyer and not a residence. His argument is, I'm a congressman in California. Of course, my residence is in D.C. Now, when it comes to Congress, you do not have to live in the district you represent. The state, the state, I believe you do, but not the district. You don't have to live in the district to represent that district. It's a weird little quirk. Governor seems to be a wholly different thing. You got to live there. And you're only living there if you own property or you can show a lease. Was he not even renting a place? This, by the way, will put an end to Evan Bayh's run for Senate. He was a senator. He was a former governor of Indiana. And then he was running for Senate again. And he was running against current Senator Todd Young. And lo and behold, he doesn't live here. And people would go to the address that he had on file, and neighbors would come out and talk to reporters and be like, I don't know anybody lived there. Saying a senator lives there? I've never seen him. I didn't know he lived there. Really, really bad stuff. Super bad stuff. I absolutely would be thrilled, overjoyed to see that Swalwell couldn't run for governor. That would be fantastic. The pompous, the ego, the hate, the smarmy, the smugness. Oh, he's perfect for California. But it'd be great to see him thwarted by, the law. And then there's this third thing I wanted to get to. We know that the idea of buying a car has now led to an acceptance of a car payment of $1,000 a month. This is now a standard thing. $1,000 a month. That's amazing. And I don't know how people do it. I don't know why they do it. Buy used. Buy used. You can afford $1,000 a month? At what interest rate? What are auto rates right now? Here, let's see. This is, I'll use Navy Federal Credit Union's auto rates. I'm not angry with you, Navy Federal Credit Union. You should actually be a sponsor of this show. If you are getting a used car and you do a loan from 12 to 36 months, 4.79%. 37 to 60 months, 5.29%, so 5-year. You do up to a 6-year, 5.39%. And that's used. If you're buying new, you're at 4.5 or 6.49, or if you extend it out even further to those 7-8-year loans, 7.39. Now that's down a little bit. That is down a little bit from where it was, but still, I'm going to pay that interest? I'm going to waste my money like that? No chance, no shot, no how. And it comes from that in the U.S., this is over there at autoblog.com, car prices on average are $50,000. $50,000. I started looking at some stuff, and I'm like, do I want to get this? I go through these cycles where I want to get something, and I'm like, I need something that is mine, that isn't goofy and isn't weird, just every day. Every day. I'm here to tell you that if you start looking at a number like $30,000, you know this better than I do, maybe. And you're still dealing with something that's 6 years old. Now, I'm sure if you said, Tony, hey, you could just get a Camry or something like that. Okay, I can appreciate that. What if I don't want that? Prices are astronomical. But the idea of, first of all, spending $50,000 on a car, it's a car. Hey, there are cool things out there if you're a collector, okay? And if you've got the money, fine. If you have the money, you're not hearing me argue. It's people who don't have the money. And then say, oh, I'll just have a payment. Everybody's got a $1,000 a month payment. No, that's crazy. Stop. Do not impress people. Impress your pocketbook. Impress your investment account. $1,000 a month to a car? Psychopaths. But cars cost $50,000. So what's happening? The U.S. now wants to ease emissions rules that could hopefully bring down car prices. Seriously, Producer Landon, nothing? No applause. You're not even trying. Too late. Any rule that isn't necessary, we should get rid of. And yes, the emission rules are onerous, and this is to push people into electric, and these CAFE standards have been madness and wrong. But if you want to reduce the price of a car, can we get rid of that stupid alarm that says, hey, don't forget to check the back seat to see if your kids are in there? I don't need it. I don't want it, and I don't want to pay for it. I don't want. Can you get rid of the thing, which I believe we're getting rid of, that I have to press in order to prevent the auto stop thing from happening? I get to a red light, I stop, and the car all of a sudden stops running to save me gas. No thanks. Am I the only person who turns that off every time they're in the car? It's so awful. There are these things that we do, and oh, look at how we're keeping people protected. We're not keeping anybody protected. No one's protected. Silly. It's all pretend. There are so many things we can get rid of and lower the cost of a vehicle. And I don't mind if we engage easing some of the insane emission standards that we've put forward under the guise of we're doing ourselves a great service. $50,000, which means people are spending more, and $1,000 payments. That is not economically sound. I know, don't take economic advice from me. No. Don't take your financial advice from me. You got to have your own financial planner. You got to do your thing. That's nuts. Crazed. Those are three more things. This is Tony Katz today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Good to be with you. That's President Trump, not yet at the podium. I am going to have serious words with him. There's going to be a row. Landon, producer Landon, was asking me if he's ever this late. This is certainly different. Oh, there he is. There he is. Look at the guy.
You know, this is the anniversary, first anniversary, January 20th, and it's been an amazing period of time. We have a book that I'm not going to read to you, but these are the accomplishments of what we've produced. All page after page after page, individual things. I could stand here and read it for a week and we wouldn't be finished. But we've done more than any other administration has done by far in terms of military, in terms of ending wars, in terms of completing wars. Nobody's really seen very much like it. I think it's appropriate that because Minnesota is so much in the fray, and I say to my people all the time, and they're so busy doing other things, they don't say it like they should. They're apprehending murderers and drug dealers, and a lot of bad people. And these are just some of the more recent ones that we have. And I can show you some of the people, vicious, many of them murderers. These are all out of Minnesota, just Minnesota. I say, why don't you talk about that more? Because people don't know. Do you want to live with these people? International murder. These are people that are they're apprehended and either put in jails in their country from where they came, and the countries respect us, and so they actually put them there. In the old days, they didn't respect our country. Biden wouldn't do this because he let them all in. You know, if you didn't have open border policies of Biden, none of this, all of the time that we spend talking about Minnesota and everything else, most of them are coming from out of the country. And it's been caused by a previous administration. Look at this, one after one. Boy, these are rough characters. These are all criminal, illegal aliens that, in many cases, they're murderers, they're drug lords, drug dealers. They're the mentally insane. There's some of them who are brutal killers. They're mentally insane. They're killers, but they're insane. These are just in Minnesota, California. It's worse. In other states, it's worse. No, Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible. And the problem is because of the agitators and insurrectionists, whatever you want, troublemakers, but they're paid agitators and insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalia.
So the president of the United States is taken to the podium, going over his first year, and he's going right at Minnesota. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. More of President Trump at the White House speaking. He'll be taking questions from the press.
They come from here. They have no money. They never had money. They never had a life. They never had a government. They never had a country, because there's basically no country. Somalia is not even a country. They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job. She's a crooked congressman. So here is another one.
Just showing.
And I have, oh, by the way,
paper after paper, people that have been arrested, people been involved in crime,
ICE is doing.
Who they've captured in Minnesota.
And it's a dangerous job. These are rough people. Weapons. This one here is very bad.
Someone said in the
I'm
chat
going
room that he
through
sounds
this because
tired.
think
I
we
don't
have
know if
plenty
that's
of
true. If
time.
that's just the microphone.
I'm going to beautiful place in Switzerland where we'll be. I'm sure I'm very happily awaited for.
Talking about heading out to
In
Davos. For the World
Switzerland, they don't
Economic
know
Forum.
about this. They don't have this problem. They have other problems, but they don't have this problem. Look,
One after
kill
another. He's just
somebody.
people who've been arrested.
And
People
these
who
are
are
rough
here
people.
illegally.
These are not. This was all allowed into our country through open borders. These dumbest policies. You know, men and women's sports is dumb, but to me, having an open border for the world to come in, drug dealers and prisoners. Venezuela, as an example, opened their prisons into the United States. That's why one of the reasons I felt so strongly against Venezuela. Now I'm loving Venezuela. They've been working with us so well. It's been so nice. And an unbelievably nice woman also did a very incredible thing, as you know, a few days ago. We're talking to her, and maybe we can get her involved in some
That's
way. I'd
Maria
love to be able to
Machado,
do that.
Nobel Prize winner, who gave her medal to
Maybe
Donald
we can
Trump,
do
which
that.
is
But we're
allowed
dealing
under
with the
Nobel
people
rules.
and the president.
And maybe she
and
will
all of
now
the
be
people
leading
in
the country.
Venezuela
Maybe the
who've
moves
been
are underfoot to
doing
get
great.
the
The oil
regime out.
companies are getting ready to make massive investments there. They have more oil than even Saudi Arabia. There you go. These are real. These are rough ones. This is all Minnesota.
I'm assuming it's going to take a lot of questions, and I will bring it to you.
Many.
Keep it here. This is Tony Katz
And
today.
these people are, let's see.
Guys, my plan is to leave it right
these
here.
are all
I'm
so far
riding with it.
people that came
Have
from
cigar, we'll
outside
go.
of the country. They were allowed in by Sleepy Joe Biden, Crooked Joe Biden, whichever you like. You can call him whatever you like. They're both right. He's sleepy and he's crooked. He was the worst president we've ever had. And we've had some bad ones too. I can tell you, all you have to do is look at trade. You're not getting bored with this, right? I hope you don't. But these are people that you have to see. Strong arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and many other crimes. Gang member, known as one of the toughest people around. These are tough people. So this is what the people are trying to protect, because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country, bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday.
Trump should go speak at that church.
24 convictions. 24
Absolutely.
times.
Trump should go speak at that church.
They're not charges. These are convictions. So he comes from outside the country. Do you think he's going to be good here? He's convicted 24 times. He's going to be good here, right? It doesn't work that way. He's a man murderer. One of many. One of many. All they want to do is get him out. They want to take him out of our country. And we're met with paid agitators and insurrectionists, troublemakers. They're paid. You know, when the woman was shot, I felt terribly about that. And I understand both sides of it. But when she was shot, there was another woman that was screaming shame, 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 right? You saw it so loud. It was like a professional opera singer. She was so loud and so professional. She wasn't a woman that was hurt, like, oh, my heart's injured. She was a professional. She's shame, shame. She's screaming, shame, shame. I said, that's not a normal person. That's a professional. These are professional agitators and professional people that want to see our country do badly. But that's not happening because we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, despite this stuff. Look at this. All top of the line criminals. They're not going to be good They're not going to be well behaved here. I could do thousands. We had over 3,000 in the last fairly short while. Just in Minnesota. What's the number, Carol? 10,000.
10,000 criminals arrested in Minnesota alone.
10,000 criminals. And these are serious criminals. Now, how can a place with 10,000 criminals, how can you have a state? And yet they're fighting us. I like that guy. Keeps nodding to me. You agree with me, I guess. I like him. I don't know who he is, but I like him. He keeps nodding. He says, you're right. He's obviously a little on the right side, maybe. Look. These are rough ones. So this, we just took this off a stack. We have many stacks like this. Like I could go 30 times what I'm showing you now. Relations with Hezbollah, that's nice. Why do we allow them in our country?
He's going on a bender here.
I'm just looking at these charges. It's just pretty incredible. Many murderers, many murderers, people that murdered. So what ICE does, and Border Patrol is incredible too. I mean, Paul Perez and that group is incredible. Mostly Hispanic, by the way. They're like 60% Hispanic. You know, they talk about Hispanic. They're mostly Hispanic, right? And they're unbelievable people. And then they say, oh, we discriminate against. I love Hispanic. They are unbelievable. Entrepreneurial. They have everything. I did great. I did the highest. Nobody ever got numbers like I got from the standpoint of being a Republican. But even if you look at Texas, I won the entire border along Texas, between Texas and Mexico. It never happened before. Nobody.
I was going to move on to some other subjects. I often stream right now. We're not going anywhere. We're doing this.
And they
I'm going to talk a little bit till we get back to the radio show.
Then
I'll have more to say.
They're the best people we have, and they're Hispanic. The Border Patrol is largely Hispanic. ICE is largely Hispanic. They're unbelievable people. I don't know how they can take the abuse.
Right there.
They're taking rough. They're taking rough people like this, like all of them. We have 10,000 at least.
I don't know what to do.
I could have done 10,000 of them. You're lucky I only did like 100. And this isn't even the worst of the group. They have murderers. They have some people we can't use their picture for legal reasons, but they're up for murder in their own country. And we jeopardize their case. When we send them back, and we coordinate with other countries. A tremendous amount of work. All allowed in here by an open border policy of the worst president in the history of our country. A man that didn't win the election, by the way, it's a rigged election. Everybody knows that now. And by the way, numbers are coming out that show it even more plainly. We caught him. So I just want you to know that it's a terrible thing. Here's the book on accomplishments. And this is something, I'm glad my finger wasn't in that sucker. That could have done some damage, but you know what? I wouldn't have shown the pain. I would have gone back. Boy, did you hear that? That was nasty.
It's a clip.
But I would not have shown the pain. I would have acted like nothing happened.
I agree. He does sound a little tired, a little soft.
I think
that a little bit of it is.
It was my man. How were you? You
he's
didn't
going
do
after
it. I know
two
you
of these
did.
things one after another, and it's not invigorating him. I suppose it sounds a little more beat right there.
Here's the book. These are all
little tired
things we have. I'm going to read a few of the samples, but look at this. These are all, each line is something that we did. Nobody did that before. And it's big stuff too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world. So I will read you a few. We ended Biden's stagflation. We were in stagflation. That's a disaster. That's far worse than inflation. As you know, he had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years. Pick your choice. but they had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. We have it right down to a normal number now. We're going to get it even a little bit lower. Created super high. What we've done with growth is incredible. We created super high economic growth, and America is booming. It's booming. There are thousands of businesses right now that are being built. Many of the biggest factories in the world are being built right in our country. They're not going to other countries. They're leaving other countries. Fourth quarter GDP is on track to pass perhaps much more than 5% growth. And that's despite the fact that we had a Democrat shutdown. They shut down our country and we had 5%. Nobody in this room has ever heard about 5%. I think it could be 20% if we do it right. If we don't, every time we have good numbers, they raise interest rates.
People who want to say
in the old
Trump's
days, if you had
karma
good
is
numbers,
coming.
they'd lower interest
Sorry.
rates, or they wouldn't do anything.
It can only
Here
be
they try
seen
and
as
kill it.
violence.
They always try and kill success. Over the last 20, 25 years, that's the way. In the old days, if you had good numbers, the market would go through the roof. Today, if you have good numbers, the market goes down. But by the way, we've had the best stock market in history, the best 401ks in history, and we inherited a mess. The numbers that we inherited were way up, and now we brought them, almost all of them, way down. We brought them way down. I mean, I'm not getting, maybe I have the bad public relations people, but we're not getting it across. We inherited high numbers, and we brought them way down. And look at gasoline. They have places in the country now, $1.99 a gallon, $1.99, $2.30, $2.50.
He listens.
I guess the average now they're saying is $2.31. I mean, he was.
We were right, and Steve Bannon was wrong. Was never thus.
And he went back to the Trump formula, but he didn't do it properly, and he really went back.
Come back to the radio show.
You would have had $8 gasoline if they didn't, but he didn't do it properly. He had people that didn't know what they were doing. Core inflation for the last 3 months is 1.6%. 1.6. Their core inflation was so high that nobody could even calculate it. Under Biden, real incomes declined $3,000. Think of that, $3,000. That's a year. In 12 months, Trump real incomes went up by $2,000 and $3,000, and even in some cases $5,000. It's a tremendous difference. Stock market has set 52 all-time record highs during the course of the 11 months, because this was done on 11 months. Now we are actually officially 12 months as of today. 52 all-time record highs. That means 401ks did great. I have people see me all the time, policemen that guard us really well, and got to know them a little bit. And they said, "Sir, you're making me look so good. My 401k is through the roof." My wife,
President Trump speaking to the press.
I'm a financial genius,
as
like
he
Warren
is
Buffett.
known to do. He has come to the press briefing. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. President Trump saying, "Hey, it's been a year, and aren't things awesome? Huh? Yeah, they're awesome, baby. Perfect." Well, they're not perfect, but he is touting how they're getting illegal immigrants off the streets of Minneapolis, and now he's going over the economy. He listens to the show. Scott Besson listens to the show. I was right. Steve Bannon was wrong. I'll say it again. You weren't focused on this enough. You weren't addressing it enough. You weren't talking about what's coming. You weren't talking about what's going right. And now he's saying, I don't have good enough press people, PR people, because we're not getting it through to people that we inherited a mess from Biden, and we've been cleaning it up. He didn't go in with that methodology. He didn't go in with that conversation. Now you want to bring it later. Hey, I'm just glad you're bringing something. And I'm glad that you're getting focused on things like gas prices, which have come down, and it's great. The president needs to pick two things to say we're focused on economically, and those things succeed. He has great chances in the midterms. But he is doing this press show. He'll be taking questions.
Welfare
I'm sticking with it.
Going way up. If you look at SNAP, take a look at SNAP, what happened with that? It was at $7 billion, and it came out to over $51 billion. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. The past administration, they had no clue. Or they were really bad, but they basically had no clue. But they did have a concept. I mean, they're still trying to sell the idea of men playing in women's sports. You saw that in the Supreme Court. I mean, some of those justices were fighting for them, too. They were fighting for them. But you saw that just the other day in the Supreme Court. Men playing in women's sport doesn't work. Secured a record-breaking $18 trillion in commitments for new investments. Apple, NVIDIA, SoftBank, Oracle, TSMC, Johnson & Johnson, Eli Lilly and Company, Micron, AstraZeneca, General Motors, Hyundai, Ford, Honda, GE Aerospace, many, many others. I left a Ford plant a week ago in Michigan that they were going to close 2 years ago, and now they just announced that they're going 24 hours around the clock making cars. Tariffs did it. I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do. I think to me it reads so plainly, couldn't be plainer. You're allowed to do a license. Tariff is probably less severe than what a license could be. But think of it. You're allowed to do a license, and then they have a clause at the end, something to the effect, or what is necessary, something to that effect. And what is necessary with tariffs. I don't know where there's a case even there, but we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, and if we lose that case, it's possible we're going to have to do the best we can in paying it back. I don't know how that's going to be done very easily without hurting a lot of people. But we're waiting for that case anxiously, and we have tremendous national security because of tariffs and tremendous income. You know, we have, and by the way, no inflation. So everyone said, oh, tariffs will cause inflation. We have no inflation. We have very little inflation.
Now, we can agree to disagree about this. He wins the argument that the conversation was the tariffs are going to exacerbate inflation, and it didn't happen. By the way, economists freaked. It didn't happen. And that's real. It has to be noted. It has to be discussed. That's incredible. Incredible. But I'm not with him on his numbers. If inflation was 0.3, that's with food and energy, that's annualized at 3.6. I use the Dr. Matt Will theory of that. If you want to take it out and say it was out food and energy, 0.2, well, that puts us at 2.4. I don't know where he gets the 1.7 number from. I think that's a bit of a massage. The inflation is still there, but it didn't explode like people said it was going to explode. That's a huge one for him. Very much helping him with the tariff conversation, even though, as you know, I can't stand the tariffs.
A pill that was selling in London for $10 would
Now
sell in New
healthcare.
York for $130. It's 13 times. More than that even. But we secured most favored nations agreements to slash drug prices by as much as 300, 400, 500, and even 600%, including with Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, Nova Nordisk, Gilead Sciences, EMD, Serenio, and many others. If you look at some of the prices that are coming down, where a price would come down $1,300 coming down to $87. Think of it. So something that was costing $1,300 is now costing $87. And the fake news doesn't want to write about it. That's why I do this. I don't like to do this, to be honest with you. But I do it because got to get the word out. We signed one big, beautiful bill. I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill, delivering the largest tax cuts in history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. We made interest on car loans tax deductible for U.S. built automobiles only. So if you buy an automobile built in the United States, we're not doing it for Germany and Canada and different places. We're doing it only if it's built here. We want them to be built here.
Now, and I'm going to be getting into this in my event on Saturday, Trump 1 year later, the highs, the lows, how we win the midterms. I mean, I'm going through this whole list. I can't believe he's stealing my act. The one big beautiful bill. It is kind of amazing how people didn't realize how much of the economic message that the midterms are dependent on were based on this. If you want to talk about bad press, you didn't know that from One Big Beautiful Bill. Very few people did. I didn't get it at first. Everything. They put it all on this. They haven't messaged it well. And that's why he's out here doing this now. What did we say? We went on TV and we said we were Sean Spicer here and there. The president's got to be talking about this. Besson has to be talking about this. Getting aggressive about what's coming and why it matters and why the people are involved and connected. And now they're doing it. And I don't think it's too late. I just wish it would have happened earlier.
And that's with all of the things we have to do, all of the people we have to put on the payroll to get rid of people that are murderers. Again, when you see people in Minnesota that are murderers, these people are fighting to keep them there. And I say to Christie and to Tom Homan, great people, they're working so hard. Look at the border. The border is now secure. First time, Biden said you couldn't do it. You need legislation. I had no legislation. I said, close the border. Within 1 month, we had almost nobody coming in. Now for the last 8 months, nobody came into our country illegally. And I find that hard to believe because you'd think somebody, because it used to be millions of people just poured into our country. And the people that do that are Democrat sort of aligned. So, I mean, they're not doing me any favors. We had nobody come in. We have a very strong border. We have very few people coming up. They're not going to make the trek because they know they probably won't be coming in. So it's not as hard as you think. But I didn't have to go back. Remember, they said, we need legislation to close the border. They had millions of people coming in a month.
Yep.
We have nobody coming in, and we're getting the murderers out. Murderers, people from prisons and jails. Many countries opened up their prisons and dropped them into the United States. Those are the people we're getting out. And we have a lot of heart. I said, you got to lighten up on this. We have a lot of heart for people. They came in illegally, but they're good people, and they're working now on farms, and they're working in luncheonettes and hotels and all. And we're looking to get the criminals out right now, the criminals. And I think it's very important. I mean, every once in a while you see a story, we take somebody. He should be out because they came in illegally. So in theory, they should be. But we're focused on the murderers, the drug dealers, the mentally insane. We have a lot of mentally insane killers. I mean, you can't even talk to them. It'd be nice if you could have a little reason, but you can't even reason. These are seriously ill people. You have a couple of countries where they were loaded up. Their mental institutions and insane asylums were loaded to the gills. They couldn't get. They're empty now, but they're filling up because we're bringing them all back. We know where they came from.
Good.
And every country accepts them. You know, under Biden, they wouldn't say. They had so little respect that they'd bring them there, and they wouldn't take them. They said, "Get the hell out of here." They would be bringing a plane in to land in a country, and they'd put 5 planes on the runway so you couldn't land the plane. So they'd come back with the people that they were bringing back. They don't do that with me. They do that with
And this is smart and valuable, and we should be returning people who are in the country illegally to their home countries. And one of the places where I think the president could engage positively and help is the difference between illegal and legal immigration. Now, it's going to bother some people on the right, but that is their problem. We want legal immigration. We want people who actually want to be Americans. We want to make sure we're bringing in people who want to be part of the American ethos and the American way of life. We should be picky, and then we should help people who really need the help. But the people who lie, cheat, steal, want to hurt us, want to harm us, and nations that want to do that to us, we owe them nothing, and we should give them nothing. We'll take the quick break. We'll come back to the press conference. I have to assume President Trump will still be talking. Just a guess there. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today.
Ran the country, this country would be Venezuela very quickly. Using tariffs slash the U.S. trade deficit by an incredible 77%. The trade deficit is down, and that doesn't include the last month where we had our best month. We slashed the trade deficit by an incredible 77% in 1 year with no inflation, something that everyone said could not be done. So we had essentially no inflation. In fact, the last month we had almost no inflation. But we slashed the trade deficit by 77%. If you slashed it by 1%, that was good. Again, we did that with tariffs and intelligence. We did that with November 5th, great election. We secured historic trade deals to reduce barriers on U.S. exports with countries covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Think of that. American exports are up by more than $150 billion this year. People said, oh, we're not exporting. All we do is buy. If you keep buying, you're not going to have a country for very long. So we increased exports by more than $150 billion. Investment in American factories is up 41%. That's a record. Nobody goes 41% up. You go 2% up, 1% up. You go down by 3%.
Investment in factories?
If Kamala got elected, the 41% up would be 41% down. We removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payroll. That's another thing. So we have, we announce our unemployment numbers, call it unemployment or employment. And they were very good, but we could make them great. But we've slashed tremendous numbers of people off the federal payroll. Because ultimately, if you're on the federal payroll, I mean, we have jobs where they had 10 people for every job. So we cut. Now, if you want to see some good numbers, I'll hire 1 million people. We cut millions of people off the federal payroll. I don't like doing that, but the good news, I don't feel badly because they're getting private sector jobs and they're getting sometimes twice as much money, 3 times as much money. They're getting factory jobs. They're getting much better jobs and much higher pay. But all I have to do is say, like, what the Democrats do all the time. They hire 1 million people and then they hire another million. They load it up and it says, oh, they only have a 3% unemployment rate. It's a fake rate. So with us, we're proud of the fact that we cut so many because, again, I don't want to cut people. But when you cut them and they go out and get a better job, I like to cut them. And sometimes they have to be forced to do that because, it's like they want to stay where they are. They don't know. And then all of a sudden they end up, we have many cases, Karoline, where people were devastated. They hated Trump. I got caught from my very boring federal job where they had, again, sometimes 10 people to do one job. And they were very upset. And now they ended up with a job where they get paid 3 times more money. They're ending up buying houses. It's like crazy. So they went from not liking me to liking me a lot because it's hard to get.
Oh, I don't know if they've ever really liked you.
People. It's one of the reasons. I want to.
It's just
when
they
you
are.
have good people in the farm or good people in hotels and everything else, we want to work with them as much as we can. Under Biden, 1 out of 4 jobs added was a government job. Think of that. So 25% of the jobs added.
Is that the right number?
When you know that, that's 25% of jobs aren't real jobs. But again, I could do that.
I would say it's
2 million
possible,
jobs
if not
right now would have
dead on accurate.
I could say just hire some more people. I do the opposite. I say get rid of everybody that's unnecessary because that's the way you make America great again. When you have, all these jobs where people are sitting around doing nothing and they get a lot of money by the government, it's no good. But that's what the Democrats do. They show, oh, we were at 4% unemployment. That's a good number. But they just add jobs or they wouldn't cut. They would never cut jobs.
The president continues there in the briefing room. Tony Katz today, live streaming YouTube. Just look for Tony Katz and subscribe. He's making an argument that, the left, they never cut anything. And if they wanted to juice the numbers and talk about how well they were doing in creating jobs, they would just do more hiring. Just create fake jobs, by the way. Government has never created a job ever. Government creates work. Government does not create jobs. 2 very, very different things. And I think it's imperative to know. I'm not saying that there isn't some important work for government to do, some important positions to be filled. But when we discuss the idea of look at all these employees and how important they are, no. Elon Musk reduced 80% of the force at Twitter. Twitter X still works. Not everything is needed. It's creating work. And President Trump's argument is they talk about their good numbers. They just hired people on your dime. That's all they did. So the president is going through his year and all the highlights of the year. He stole my act. I'm going to be doing this on January 24th. Trump 1 year later, Tickets.tonykatz.com. You should get your tickets immediately. If not sooner, going to be incredible. Premier Arms and PA Jewelers on site, Chimney Solutions, Indiana. We've got Defiance Beef, incredible beef. Drake's Laser Engraving, who does a lot of my work, will be there as well. Incredible sponsors helping put this on. Get your tickets. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Let's take it back to the president.
Commit crime. No, they make our criminals look like babies. They make our Hell's Angels look like the sweetest people on earth. The Hell's Angels are now considered a nice, high-quality person. I like the Hell's Angels. They voted for me. They protected me, actually, believe it or not. But they make our criminals look like babies. These are some of the most vicious people anywhere in the world. They came from the Congo. The prisons, I know the Congo because I ended the war with the Congo and Rwanda. Tough group, very tough group. They came from prisons in the Congo. Some of the toughest, meanest people you'll ever meet. Thank you very much. They allowed them to come into America. These are tough people. Before my election, 100% of net job creation was going to foreign migrants. Since my inauguration, 100% of the net jobs created have gone to American-born citizens. That's a big thing. In other words, we're now taking care of our people. 100% of net jobs created have gone to the American-born people. Before that, we didn't care. Designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and we've hit them hard. You've seen.
And the left may think that this is all just terrible, and how dare Trump, and it's anti this, that, and the other. That's what America voted for. America likes this, and a good reminder is never a bad thing.
They don't go to the water. Nobody's going into the boat business right now, I can tell you. 97% down drugs coming in by water. Think of 97%. Nobody ever heard of that before. They heard 2%, 1%. It went up 2%. 97, and we're looking for the 3%. Who the hell are the 3%? They're crazy. But we've taken out almost 100% of the drugs coming in by water. Now we're going to be very shortly starting drugs coming in by land. We know exactly where they're coming from. Removed tens of thousands of illegal alien gang members, drug dealers, murderers, child predators, human traffickers, fraudsters, savage criminals, and others. We removed them from our country. They're out. They're gone. In some cases, they're so dangerous that we put them in jail because we don't want to give them to their country. Their country doesn't do anything, and they end up coming back. We have some that they're so bad that we don't want to really release them. We want to put them in a jail where we know they're properly ensconced. Think of that. Remove tens of thousands of illegal alien gang members, drug dealers, murderers, child predators, human traffickers, fraudsters, and savage criminals. Why wouldn't you want them removed? The reason is because these are insurrectionists that are doing this work. And, they're going to make mistakes sometimes. ICE is going to be too rough with somebody, or, they're dealing with rough people. They're going to make a mistake. Sometimes it can happen. We feel terribly. I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who had the tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing. Everybody would say, ICE would say the same thing. But when I learned her parents, and her father in particular I hope he still is, but I don't know, was a tremendous Trump fan. He was all for Trump, loved Trump. And, it's terrible. I was told that by a lot of people. They said, oh, he loves you. He was I hope he still feels that way. I don't know. It's a hard situation. But her father was a tremendous, and parents were tremendous Trump fans. It's so sad. It just happens. It's terrible. Halted all refugee admissions to the United States, including from Somalia, which is a terrible, terrible place, another dangerous place. And we also stopped the pirates because they get the same treatment as the drug boats. So in Somalia, the Somalians, you know what they're good at? That's about the only thing they're good at is they're good at pirating ships at sea, big ships. So you have a huge oil tanker with millions of gallons, millions of barrels of oil. And if it gets hit by a big weapon, the whole thing blows up. And they don't want to fight because if they do, they're told by their insurance companies, do not hand over the ship. And they're not allowed to have any guns on the ship. They're literally, you have these massive ships being.
He is moving all over the map here now on Somali pirates. I will say it. I think it's interesting that he brought up that ICE can make mistakes. So it's a rare thing for him to do. It's a rare thing for him to engage with. And you got to follow that up with, well, how do you limit the mistake? I mean, you brought it up. How are you going to limit the mistakes? That's the question. How do you limit the mistakes? Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Here's what we've got going on, guys. I do have to stop the live stream. I gotta make some other moves and get ready for some other stuff. So I gotta stop it here. I love you. He's gonna go on for another 4 hours anyway. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being a part of the show. I appreciate that you'll be back tomorrow at noon. And if I only get so lucky as to see you on January 24th, tickets.tonykatz.com, Trump 1 year later. It's going to be incredible. I'm going to do this, but it's going to be way more awesome. I promise to be so much more entertaining. You will not believe it. And I'm serving bourbon. Oh, can't wait. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets. Guys, I appreciate you tremendously, and I will be back tomorrow at noon. I hope to catch you then. I appreciate you. Can't thank you enough. I'll catch you later.